The shuttle's emergency sirens blared as Aurora tore through the swirling violet clouds. I gripped the seat's harness, knuckles white, as ruptured thrusters spasmed under me. A final lurch, and darkness swallowed the cabin. When I came to, my world glowed. Bioluminescent flora pulsed in rippling waves of teal and chartreuse around the crater, where Aurora lay shattered. Suit sensors chirped a safety confirmation, air breathable, radiation minimal, though unknown biological agents detected. Made me hesitate before venturing outside. Stepping onto the mossy ground, every footstep set off concentric halos of light, as if the planet itself were breathing. My heart pounded in awe and fear. I was alone on an alien world that lived and watched. Then I saw her, tall, statuesque, her skin a shifting tapestry of moonlight and shadow. Vines, alive with gentle motion, wove through her hair. Her eyes glowed like twin embers. She stood silent, emanating both grace and menace. "State your purpose," she intoned, voice low yet resonant. My pulse pistol hung at my hip, but she never flinched when I reached for my scanner instead. I activated it with deliberate calm. "I'm Dr. Ari Winters, xenobiologist from Earth. My ship malfunctioned, emergency landing. I mean no harm." Around us, the forest's hues flickered, suspicion in crimson, curiosity in violet. She studied me, expression unreadable. A spurt of nervous humor escaped my lips. "Unless you count harvesting spare parts. Strictly mechanical, I promise." Her lips quirked. Vines twitched. "I am Kaylee," she replied. "You stand in the sanctum of the Lifeblood Grove. Outsiders rarely survive here." I swallowed hard. "I appreciate the hospitality." Every word felt fragile beneath the living canopy. The forest seemed to lean closer, eager for the next exchange. Kaylee moved. In a graceful arc, she displaced ferns with her presence alone. "Rules dictate you remain under my watch until repairs conclude. Any attempt to exploit our world's energy will be met with judgment." "Understood," I said, forcing steady breath. The forest's light turned a neutral lavender, relief, or perhaps calculation. She gestured toward Aurora's smoking hull. "Retrieve what you need. I accompany." Trust was not freely granted here. Trust had to be earned. I opened my toolkit, heart hammering as she shadowed me through the living glow. Every time I bent to inspect a broken conduit, the ground pulsed beneath my fingertips, as though the planet measured my intent. "So you study organisms," Kaylee mused, voice softer now. "Yet you treat my home as laboratory equipment." I straightened, wrench in hand. "Science must respect its subjects. I'll replace or repair anything I disturb." Her gaze flickered approval. "Words are wind unless deeds follow." A low rumble shook the clearing. I stumbled and caught Kaylee's arm. Vines coiled protectively around her ankle, then receded as she steadied me. "Nightfall comes swiftly," she warned. "Shelter before the grove stirs hungry." I looked up at the towering trees, their tendrils swaying as though alive. Hunger. I imagined the forest ablaze, tendrils seeking warmth. My rational mind reeled, but something in Kaylee's calm composure anchored me. "Let on," I said. "I'll keep pace." Together, we stepped into the shimmering woodland, Aurora's broken frame fading behind us. Bioluminescent petals drifted like lanterns, guiding our path. Each pulse of light marked a test. My sincerity, my courage, my respect for a world that could consume me. As we walked, I realized this crash was not simply catastrophe. It was invitation. Invitation to prove my worth, to survive the trials of trust, and perhaps to discover connections deeper than any I'd studied before. The forest watched, and Kaylee's steady presence reminded me. On this planet, survival meant more than mending metal. It meant harmonizing with life itself. A pale lavender glow guided our footsteps as Kaylee led me away from Aurora's shattered hull. The air felt electric, every tendril of moss quivering at our passage. Ahead lay a natural alcove ringed by towering ferns whose trunks looked carved from glowing marble. As we reached its heart, 3 silent figures emerged. Guardians of the Lifeblood Grove, their armor woven from living vines and crystalline petals. Kaylee paused, raising a hand. "Dr. Winters," she announced, voice echoing against phosphorescent bark. "These are my sisters. They will witness your first trial, proving your respect for Urza's living web." One guardian stepped forward, extending a slender palm cradling a small crystalline seed that shimmered with inner light. "This essence is sacred," her low voice rumbled like distant thunder. "You must coax it to bloom. Only then will you earn permission to use our planet's resources." I swallowed, recalling my toolkit's limitations. Understood. Kneeling, I accepted the seed as though it weighed nothing, though my heart thumped like a war drum. Gently, I placed it atop a cushion of velvet moss. From my pack, I produced a miniature sensor, an electromagnetic harmonizer I designed to study biotic fields. Without hesitation, I powered it on and hovered its probe above the seed. The device hissed softly as readings stabilized. Then I whispered, "I'm not here to exploit you. I want to learn." I placed a palm near the moss, closing my eyes and focusing on sincerity. A warmth spread from my fingers through the substrate. Light flickered within the seed, pulsing, in time with my heartbeat. Violet sparks raced along its ridges until, with a soft crackle, it unfurled into a delicate blossom of opalescent petals. Gasps rippled among the guardians as the grove erupted in soft teal and gold. Kaylee's eyes shone. Approval, or perhaps surprise. She stepped forward, sweeping a loose strand of vine from her face. "You honor the grove more than many who were born here," she murmured. A thrill of triumph warmed me. "Thank you," I said, offering her a small smile. "I'm learning quickly." Her lips curved. "You adapt well to this living world. But understanding runs deeper than tools and tests." She nodded to one sister, who approached bearing an oblong container of bioluminescent fruit. The fragrance was intoxicating, honeyed and wild. "Eat," Kaylee instructed. "Nightheart will show whether you can trust your instincts." I accepted a glowing sphere and bit into its flesh. Warmth flooded my mouth with sensations of starlight and spice. My chest tightened as a surge of clarity washed over me. The grove's heartbeat, its ancient memories, the interwoven lives of every creature here. I staggered, leaning on a fern trunk. Kaylee caught my elbow. "Breathe. You're experiencing the grove's empathy." I exhaled slowly. "It's overwhelming." Yet I felt strangely centered, as though the forest had welcomed me into its fold. She turned, beckoning me deeper into the alcove where a shallow pool mirrored the canopy. Above, bioluminescent tendrils dripped into the water, sending ripples of light across its surface. Kaylee knelt and scooped a handful of liquid. "This fluid forms the lifeblood of our world. It can heal, and it can destroy." She held it out. "Dip. Your hand. Show me you will not fear its power." My fingers traced the silken water. It tingled, arcing electric warmth along my skin. I pressed my palm flat, feeling its living pulse. For a heartbeat, every doubt I'd carried vanished. "I pledge my respect to Urza," I vowed, voice soft but steady. All 3 guardians closed, their eyes as if communing with the grove itself. When they opened them, their expressions were serene. The tallest said, "Your spirit resonates with ours. You may repair your vessel under Kaylee's guidance." A swell of relief lifted my chest. "Thank you," I whispered, bowing my head. Kaylee offered her hand. I took it, mindful of the subtle current of life humming between us. As we walked back to the crash site, the forest's glow shifted around our joined palms, an unspoken promise of cooperation. Night deepened, and shadowy shapes crept among the ferns. But I felt safe beside Kaylee, every bioluminescent bough seeming to ward off danger. My ship lay ahead awaiting repair. Beyond that, unknown trials and discoveries beckoned. Yet in that moment, guided by living light and guarded by a warrior whose trust I'd earned, I knew I was no longer simply a visitor. I was part of something far greater, an alliance of flesh and forest, science and spirit, forging a new chapter beneath an alien sky. Kaylee moved through the forest as if the trees themselves made way for her. Vines curled back from her path, leaves shivered in anticipation. I followed, keeping pace as best I could, the forest responding to my every step with shifting hues. Green for curiosity, amber for tension, violet when Kaylee glanced over her shoulder and caught me staring. We said little on the way back to Aurora, but the air buzzed with unspoken tension, not the kind born of danger, but something heavier, more intimate, a pull that came from more than just proximity. The planet's subtle hum, like a pulse beneath the moss-covered ground, had begun to mirror mine. By the time we reached the clearing where my ship lay crumpled, the sun, or whatever passed for one here, was dipping below the canopy. Shadows stretched long and low, but the forest's natural glow brightened in return, painting the area in soft pinks and golds. I'd never seen a world so alive, so responsive to emotion. Kaylee's voice broke the silence. "Your vessel, it breathes differently now." I looked at Aurora, its cracked hull flecked with tendrils of creeping moss that shimmered faintly, pulsing in sync with the planet's light. My brows furrowed. It wasn't doing that before. "You've been marked," Kaylee said, crossing her arms. "The forest touched you. Now it listens. I didn't know whether to be honored or concerned. Does it always listen?" "It listens. It judges. It remembers," she replied, her gaze never leaving mine. "As do we." There was something in the way she said we, not just referring to her people, but the planet itself. I turned back to the ship, booting up diagnostics while Kaylee crouched nearby, her eyes watchful. Damaged thrusters, compromised shielding, and a fried nav core. I sighed. This will take time. Days, maybe more. "Time is a luxury you may not have," she said. I glanced over. "Why? What happens if I overstay my welcome?" "The deeper kin, the old roots, they stir when something unfamiliar lingers too long. They probe, consume." A chill ran up my spine, despite the warmth of the grove. "You're joking." Her expression didn't shift. "I don't joke. Of course not." I'd yet to hear her laugh. I continued working, and Kaylee surprisingly helped, handing tools, scanning materials, showing me where certain vines held mineral traces that might replace damaged wiring. She was precise and graceful, her movements deliberate, like the forest had trained her itself. As dusk deepened, the forest's glow grew softer, more sensual. Light played across Kaylee's features, her skin reflecting the pinks and golds like living paint. I found myself stealing glances. Too long, too often. "You're distracted," she said without looking up. "Hard not to be," I admitted. At last, a flicker of amusement ghosted across her lips. "You speak like no one I've ever met." "I get that a lot," I replied with a grin. "But I could say the same about you." She stood, brushing her palms clean. "The trial you passed, that was only the first." I straightened. "There's more?" "There are always more," Kaylee said, her tone quieter now. "You prove to the Grove that you mean no harm. But to walk freely, to earn more than permission, to earn belonging, you must harmonize." "Harmonize," I repeated. "With the planet?" "With its rhythm," she clarified. "With ours." She stepped closer, close enough that I could feel her body's subtle warmth, an energy not heat-based but electric. The forest dimmed around us as if holding its breath. "Close your eyes," she said. I obeyed. "Don't listen with your ears," she whispered. "Feel. Let the grove speak." Silence fell. Not the absence of sound, but a new kind of quiet. My heartbeat slowed. The air shifted. Then I felt it, a hum beneath my boots, a pulse in the ground, a resonance rising in my chest, matching my breath. I wasn't imagining it. Urza had a rhythm, a living frequency, and I was syncing with it. When I opened my eyes, Kaylee was watching me with a new expression, part wonder, part concern. "You felt it," she said. I nodded. "It's like the whole world is a heartbeat." Yours matched. She reached for my hand, her fingers brushing mine, sending a small current up my arm. "That rarely happens." "What does it mean?" She hesitated. "It means you are changing, or Urza is changing you." We stood there, the forest bathed in golden light around us, hand to hand, heartbeat to heartbeat, and I realized something. I wasn't just here to survive. I was here to become something new. Night came differently. On Urza, there was no darkness, only a shifting of hues. The vibrant forest dimmed to silvers and pale violets, like moonlight woven into the leaves. The temperature cooled, but the energy in the air remained. It tingled against my skin like static, alive and watching. Kaylee had led me to a high ridge, where the ground rose above the tree line. From here, the view stretched endlessly. Rolling jungles glittered with bioluminescent pulses that danced in rhythm, like some colossal heart was beating beneath the soil. "This is the echoing reach," Kaylee said beside me. "It is where the forest speaks most clearly." The wind tugged gently at her vine-woven hair. Her skin shimmered faintly in the moonlight, casting a blue halo around her. I found myself breathless, not just from the climb, but from the presence of her, of this place. She turned to me, serious. "The second trial begins now." I blinked. I thought I was doing pretty well. "You are." She took a step forward. "But this is not a trial of action. It's one of surrender." "That's vague." Kaylee stepped closer, her eyes glowing faintly. "The grove needs to know your truth. Not what you show. Not what you say. What you carry beneath it all." The air thickened. Around us, the plants quieted, the breeze slowed, even the colors seemed to pause. I hesitated. "And how does the grove figure that out?" She held out her hand. "Through me." I stared at her palm, outstretched and steady. "You mean a mind link?" She shook her head. "More than that. I become your mirror. Your rhythm echoes through me. If it is true, the forest will accept it. And if not?" Her voice softened. "Then it will pull away. Reject you." I exhaled, trying to steady my nerves. I had faced planetary storms, near vacuum ruptures, even a mantis-like diplomat on Theta 3. But this was different, intimate, terrifying. Still, I took her hand. The moment our skin touched, the forest reacted. A wave of pale gold light rippled outward from our feet. Kaylee inhaled sharply, and I felt the tremble in her fingers, like something ancient had just awakened between us. Then came the rush. A flood of sensations burst into me, memories, emotions, colors that had no names. I saw flashes of her past, standing guard over her people, grieving fallen sisters, laughing quietly when no one watched. She had known solitude, burden, honor, and she felt me. My fear, my awe, my endless curiosity, my longing for connection deeper than anything Earth had offered. My fascination with her. Her grip tightened. "You hide loneliness beneath your wit," she whispered, eyes wide. "You've lost things. People." I swallowed, throat dry. "So have you." Kaylee's expression shifted, open, vulnerable. That is why the grove listens. The ground beneath us began to glow in fractal patterns. Colors spilled like liquid across the ridge, wrapping around our feet, climbing the stone like ivy woven from light. Our hands, still joined, pulsed with shared energy, 2 heartbeats synchronized. "You resonate," Kaylee said softly. "Not just with Urza, with me." The words hit deeper than I expected. My mouth opened, but nothing came out. She didn't. Let go. "The forest knows bonds," she said, almost reverent. "Between mates, kin, souls. It responds to those who are aligned." I met her gaze, breath hitching. "Is that what's happening?" Kaylee tilted her head, her expression unreadable. "You are not from here, and yet, you feel like part of it." I smiled, a little unsteady. "That's probably the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me." For a moment, she seemed unsure. Then, with startling gentleness, she leaned closer. Her forehead touched mine. The glow around us brightened instantly, casting the ridge in warm hues of rose and gold. "We will continue tomorrow," she murmured. "But for now, rest in the truth." As we sat together on the glowing ledge, the stars of Urza slowly wheeled overhead. No words passed between us. There was no need. Our thoughts, our rhythms, had already begun to speak for us. And for the first time in a long while, I wasn't thinking about getting back to Earth. I was thinking about what it might mean to stay. I awoke to a forest humming softly beneath me. The moss beneath my body was warm, as though it remembered me from the night before. Light filtered through the high canopy in fractured blues and greens, and tiny particles drifted in the air like motes of stardust. I could still feel Kaylee's presence in my bones, even though she was no longer beside me. "Good," came her voice from above. I looked up to see her perched gracefully on a thick, vine-laced branch, arms folded across her chest. "You wake, with the grove's rhythm now." "Is that your poetic way of saying I slept in?" I asked, rubbing my eyes. She dropped to the ground with liquid ease, the vines parting for her like loyal servants. "It means the grove accepted you." "It did, not wake you with thorns." "Well, I appreciate that," I muttered, rising to my feet and stretching. "So, what now? Trial 3 or breakfast?" Kaylee gave a faint smile. "Both." She handed me a fruit, smooth and glowing with soft orange light. I bit into it, surprised by the burst of sweetness and a faint spice that tingled my tongue. The taste was alive. It made my senses sharper, my thoughts clearer. Kaylee's eyes flicked over me. "You will need that clarity." My stomach sank a little. "I'm guessing this next trial isn't just about touching glowing plants or syncing up with sacred water." "No," she said. "It is about proving who you are when nothing is left to shield you." She led me to a clearing where the forest was eerily quiet. The light dimmed as we entered, and the trees bent inward, as if listening. In the center stood a circular platform made of living bark. Kaylee gestured toward it. "Step onto the heartwood. It will read your truth." Again, with the truth reading, I murmured, stepping up. "Does Urza ever stop judging people?" "No," she said simply. "Neither do I." As I stood in the center, the platform beneath my feet pulsed with energy, warm, then cold, then prickling. I tried to remain still, but the sensation was uncomfortable, like the forest was peeling back layers I didn't know I had. "Close your eyes," Kaylee instructed. "Do not resist. The forest will reach inside you." "Comforting," I muttered, but obeyed. The world dropped away. I was no longer standing. I was floating, submerged in warmth and color. I saw flashes of memory. My father teaching me how to build my first scanner, the face of my little sister. On the day I left Earth, the loneliness that had followed me across galaxies. every failure, every fear. Then Kaylee's voice echoed through the haze. "What do you want, Ari?" I don't know," I answered, though my voice sounded far away. "The forest knows your desire. But do you?" The visions shifted. I saw Kaylee, alone, silent, watching me from a distance. I saw myself watching her, not with curiosity but with yearning. Not for conquest or discovery, but for connection, for home. The pressure grew heavier. Emotions I had buried surfaced, fear of being left behind, guilt for the worlds I'd passed through without understanding, the ache of always being the outsider. Then silence. A single word formed in the quiet. "Stay." My eyes snapped open. The forest around the heartwood had come alive, vines swirling, lights dancing, flowers blooming with sudden riotous color. Kaylee stepped forward slowly, her expression unreadable. "The heartwood has spoken." I could barely breathe. "Did I fail?" "No," she said quietly. "You passed, but not as I expected." I stepped down from the platform, legs unsteady. "What does that mean?" "It means," she said, "you've been changed more deeply than most. You didn't just harmonize, you merged." I frowned. Merged? With Urza's rhythm, its memory, its will. It has claimed you. I opened my palm. A faint golden pattern had begun to form along my skin, lines that pulsed like roots, wrapping around my wrist. I could feel the planet inside me now. Its heartbeat, its awareness. I wasn't just connected, I was part of it. Kaylee's eyes locked onto mine. "You can still leave. You are not trapped. But if you stay, this bond will not break." I swallowed hard. "And if I do stay," her voice dropped to a whisper, "then you are no longer an outsider. You are one of us." I looked at her. Really looked. Her expression, usually so guarded, was open now, vulnerable, hopeful. "I didn't come here for this," I said, voice low. "I know. I came to survive, to fix my ship. And now," I reached for her hand, letting our fingers intertwine. "Now," I said, "I'm wondering what else I was meant to find." The forest pulsed in quiet joy around us, the trees whispering ancient approval. And somewhere deep inside, I realized the same thing Urza already knew. I wasn't going home. I had already found it. The repairs were nearly complete. Aurora's hull had been patched with crystalline bark gifted by the elder trees. Its core systems now pulsed with energy drawn not from synthetic batteries, but from the forest itself. A living circuit fused through my bond with Urza. I stood at the edge of the ship's open hatch, staring into the jungle that had almost consumed me, then welcomed me. My skin still bore the golden threads of connection, glowing faintly under the canopy's filtered light. Each pulse matched the rhythm of Urza's breath, of Kaylee's breath too. Behind me, soft footsteps approached. "You've done it," Kaylee said. She stood barefoot, her armor set aside, wrapped in a simple woven garment that shimmered like moonlight caught in silk. Her hair moved like slow water, alive with whispering vines. "So it seems," I said, turning to her. "The ship's ready." "I could leave today," she nodded, but her eyes didn't meet mine. "And will you?" I hesitated. For weeks, I had worked with a single goal in mind: to leave, escape, return to the safety of known stars and scheduled missions. But now, the thought of departure felt hollow. Part of me still wants to see Earth again, I admitted. But another part wonders if I'd ever belong there the way I do here. Kaylee stepped closer. "Urza accepts you. That much is clear. But acceptance is not belonging. Belonging must be chosen." I searched her face for the answer I couldn't. Voice. What if I chose this? Chose to stay? Her lips parted, and for a moment, no sound came. Then, softly. Then the bond would deepen. The rhythm between us would become unbreakable. You would feel not only the forest, but me. Always. A warmth spread through my chest that had nothing to do with Urza's energy. You make it sound terrifying, I said, half smiling. It is, she said, to let someone feel all that you are. It is the greatest risk our kind knows. And yet you're willing? Kaylee raised her hand, placing it gently over the markings on my wrist. Her touch sent a cascade of light up my arm. I already have. The jungle around us shimmered, colors bending in soft celebration. Flowers opened without wind, vines curled toward us like loyal sentinels. A deep tone resonated from the canopy, a low hum that stirred the trees, the ground, even the air. The sound vibrated through me, through Kaylee, until I realized it wasn't just the forest. It was us. It's starting, she whispered. The final resonance. She took my other hand, and I felt her essence flow through me, warm, fierce, wild. In return, I gave her mine, curious, steady, open. The grove pulsed brighter, and suddenly we weren't standing alone. Guardians stepped from between the trees, Kaylee's sisters, silent and watching. Above them, the elder tree unfurled its oldest bloom. Kaylee stepped forward, guiding me into the circle of becoming, a ring of glowing stones nestled in a bed of soft moss. This is not ceremony, she said. This is truth. I nodded. Then, let's speak it. She reached up, fingers brushing my temple. Let the forest see you. I lowered every barrier. My fear of not being enough. My longing to be chosen, to matter. My awe of her. My need for this strange, impossible home. The circle lit up around us, a halo of shifting color that moved like breath. The watchers murmured. Words. I didn't know, but somehow understood. Blessing, welcome, bond. Kaylee drew me into her arms, her forehead resting against mine. We are rhythm, she whispered. We are resonance. Then she kissed me. The moment our lips met, the forest exploded in light. Petals cascaded from the trees like stardust. Vines danced in sweeping spirals. Energy surged through our bodies and into the soil, the sky, the very air. We weren't two beings anymore. We were one current, one echo, one truth. When we finally pulled apart, breathless and blinking through the radiant mist, Kaylee smiled in a way I'd never seen. Unburdened. Whole. You're no longer an outsider, she said. I'm yours, I whispered, and Urza's. Behind us the aurora shimmered, alive now, part of this world. But I knew I wouldn't be taking off any time soon. Home wasn't a place, it was a connection. As the others returned into the trees and the circle dimmed, Kaylee and I remained beneath the elder tree, hands still joined, and in the silence that followed the resonance, I realized the impossible had happened. I had fallen into the unknown and found the one rhythm that would echo within me forever.